Hello, everyone. This is Kenya Rockman, author and founder of the Child Support Hustle, coming to you live and direct. I hope you are doing well this, what is this, Sunday evening. I'm doing okay. Thank you for asking. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the like. Appreciate you. Um, as the caption says, I'm going to talk about a father that has died at the hands of, again, the child support system. I'm going to go into more detail about this case because I was able to find out some more information than just him being arrested over a child support warrant and him dying while arrested. So this doesn't happen often because usually the only information that I have comes from a news source, and we just know that he's, or she, because there has been some mothers that have died while incarcerated on contempt charges while in jail, but this goes back. So I'm just going to jump straight into it because there's a lot of information because this case goes goes on for quite a long time. So there were two people who died on October 8th this year. One was a corporal working for the Kenosha County Sheriff's Department in Wisconsin. The other was a father serving time for the child support issues. Both men died from COVID-19. One of the men was at the jail by choice. One was there by force. The father, Michael Osborne, was 40 years old and had been jailed for contempt on April 25th, 2021. According to Deneen Smith, the writer of the article, Mr. Osborne, I'm gonna go down, you know how I go down by the points. Hey, Raheem, yeah, that's messed up. Okay, so I'm gonna go down the points that were made in the article. He was ordered to serve 180 days in jail after failing to take part in court-ordered program for parents and for failing to stay current on his child support payments. We're gonna get into that. Sergeant Wright of the Sheriff's Department said that Mr. Osborne was taken to the hospital from the jail on September 26th. He contracted COVID during his 6-month sentence. Mr. Osborne was supposed to be released on October 1st. According to his girlfriend, Raven Harmanson, Hermanson, Mr. Osborne was on a ventilator at the hospital by that date. The news outlet states that he could have purchased his freedom. That's not their words, of course, that's mine. Those are my words. That he could have purchased his freedom for the low cost of $2,500. So those are the facts in the case reported by Kenosha News. And so I looked up some more information, and this is what I found out. For starters, after the paternity was established on this case on or about 11/15/2004, that's how old this case is. According to the court docs, legal custody was granted to both parents back in 2004. Primary custody and placement was given to mom, and dad has secondary custody. Dad was ordered to pay $34.50 per week, so it's $138 per month, and he was ordered to pay $5 a week to pay off $4,327.42 for birth expenses. Mom waived past due support allegedly owed to her. So we already know he's in debt to the state for birth costs. Mom said she didn't even want any money. So keep that in mind. They were both ordered to provide health insurance and split uninsured medical 50-50. The tax exemption went to mom. Thank y'all for joining. Thanks for the likes. Please share if you can. I don't know if you can share here on YouTube, but if you can, if you're watching it later, please share, because this kind of stuff needs to be exposed. This, when I go down this timeline, y'all peep this or pay attention to this. I'm sorry. I have to, you know how you have to. Anyway, let me get into it. So everything seemed smooth for Mr. Osborne until about October of 2006, when it looks like another case was joined to the original case, which added another $30.50 to the monthly support hearing. So we're up to $65 a month. And then they were charging the custodial parent $10 a week as well, and he was still paying the $5 for the birthing cost. So with the amounts that we're hearing, we already can assess that these parents were not rich or wealthy by any means. These are fairly low child support costs and payments. So we already know when we already know that this is a TANF or a welfare case. And we know, because how the system is set up, that Mr. Osborne probably did not sign a contract to repay the birthing costs or anything else having to do with this Title 4D case. Mr. Osborne heard words about contempt beginning 2007. The first affidavit was issued on March 27th, 2007. Okay, so here's a series of events then. There was a show cause hearing held on May 30th, 2007 for contempt for failure to pay support from 10/29/2006 to 5/30/2007. He was ordered to do 10 job searches a week, and they scheduled another contempt hearing for August. There was nothing offered to find out why he was unable to pay prior to the contempt hearing. On August 22nd, 2007, the state's attorney appeared in court for a contempt hearing, but he was in custody already since June of 2007, to be released on September 22nd, 2007. See, he was scheduled for contempt hearing again on October 24th to see if he had a job, and he was again ordered to job search. There was another hearing on October the 24th. So within approximately 1 year's time, Mr. Osborne had been called into court on contempt charges 4 separate times. He was summoned to court and he showed up every time. He was supposed to pay child support $300 a month and $20 towards arrears that he owed to the state. There is no clear reason where the additional $30 came from that they charged. I think it was a duplicate case. That same case, I think they just repeated it. And remember, since this was a Title 4D case, the payments were going to be kept by the government to recover the birth costs or welfare costs on this case. On the 31st of October 2007, this is key, all arrears and interest from June 25th, 07 to September 15th, 07 were eradicated, and Mr. Osborne's child support was reduced back to $35 a week. So I think they just made a mistake and doubled up. That's why his child support was so high. On January 30th, 2008, guess who's back in court for a contempt hearing after they made a mistake? Mr. Osborne. Months go by and it's unclear if Mr. Osborne is incarcerated or free, but he's back in front of the judge May 2008. He's made one payment and now is working. So they set another hearing. So they just having him back-to-back hearings. They're giving him zero breathing room and zero help. This is all over a fake child support contract and a fake debt, and they are treating him like a violent criminal. They're having him in court so much over what, like $150 a month. And the mom erased the arrears that was owed to her from the beginning. And notice, I'm never saying anything about the child, the well-being of the child. The court never, because I'm looking at court docs. I didn't put the links in there. I just thought of it. I'll make sure I add all the links from what I'm talking about as sources, so you can go back and look and reference this. They never mention the kid until much later, until the child until much later, I'm sorry. So he's back in court several times for contempt in 2009. He's summoned in February, March, July, and November. On January 4th, 2010, there's an attachment and Mr. Osborne is ordered to pay $0 in child support. Why? Because he's been locked up from December 3rd, 2009 and will not be released until June 1st, 2010. He's staying in jail. They're keeping him in contempt instead of trying to help him and figure out what barriers he has. How can we help you? You know, now we're getting into the recession. Remember the Great Recession that we had, and people were losing their jobs, people were losing their homes. They're not offering him any help. They're just locking him up. They're on his neck. So nothing happens again until April 14th, 2011, when there's a stipulation order to amend the judgment and the child support is set at 0. Mom forgives the interest and arrears, but any and all state debt remains and must be paid to the state. So that's twice, Mom. They try to put a debt and arrears on Mr. Osborne, and Mom has twice said, I don't want it, erase it, don't want interest or anything. So this is twice that the state has stepped in and said he owes us. So they're going back and holding him in contempt and wanting more money from him. They want their money. They don't care anything about these kids. They want their money. And this is a clear example. That's why I wanted to make sure this was detailed in a timeline on how they harassed this father. Even when the mother is saying, erase it, I don't want it. Whatever they were doing with their child or with their family, it seemed to have been working because she's trying to not pursue this child support case, from what I could understand. So we're back at August 2014. They filed for divorce. Surprise! They've been married this whole entire time. So technically, they both should have been supporting their children, which they probably were. There are separate rules for married parents versus unmarried parents. So this is probably why anyway, they're married. The child support order was terminated. The arrears and interest due that's owed only to the state is transferred to another case. This should have been an arrears only case. There's nothing even owed because there's no child support case. Remember, that's in 2014. So there's a balance due of $272.89 for mediation fees and interest on the case. No child support. The mediation fees are from 2013 to 2014 from both parents going to parenting education classes, mediation, showing that Mr. Osborne was trying to be an active father. He was going to the parenting classes. They were charging him. So instead of sending him to jail and spending money and charging him or not knocking off any of the fees for child support that he didn't owe to the mom, but that he owed to the state allegedly, they could have been knocking off some of that time, that cash for the time served, because they kept him in jail. We see that they kept him incarcerated, or they kept him in some kind of program that if he violated the court order of going to these programs or searching for jobs, he was going back to jail. So they could have, instead of charging him for parenting classes and mediation, they could have helped him out, but they didn't. Okay, so most of the time they were doing the mediation, and they were both supposed to split those costs. And on 1/23/2014, and it's important to point this out, that the state is still enforcing the job search order, even though the arrears are only owed to the state. So they're still trying to make him work, not to support his children or child. I couldn't distinguish whether this was, if they had another child after, but I think this is for one child. So they're still trying to force him to go find a job so they can get the state's money and not support his children or child. And nowhere is there a total amount provided except at the start of the order when they wanted the birthing costs. They never ever say that he owes X amount of dollars plus interest for the birthing costs or how much he owes to the state. There's never anything in these court docs. They're just saying that that's what he owes. So in March, they start harassing him again for the mediation costs of the $200. They April of 2014, they issue an order to show cause and an affidavit for contempt. Now they back charging him with contempt. And there's no reason for them to charge him with contempt. In May of 2014, discussions of visitation, and dad files for contempt against mom for visitation. So again, he's making an effort to be a father to his children. He's showing up to the court dates all through this. He's showing up. He's going to parenting classes. When he can, he's paying support. He's even filed contempt because mom is keeping him away from his children. So it looks like he's trying to do what they're saying that he's not doing. Okay, so they sued Mr. Osborne for the parent education classes for the $200, and they won. They got another judgment, an actual judgment against him for the parenting classes. And they continue to bring him in for the employment program when they could have, just waived the parenting class programs and helped him get a job even then, even though he didn't owe any child support, at least not according to the court documents. On June 18, 2014, Mr. Osborne was sued again for child support, and on July 30th, 2014, the state dismissed the motion. They kept trying to get child support from this man, and they couldn't. The case was dismissed again. So they started harassing him again for child support, and again it looks like he only owed state-owed debt because the current child support had been terminated. He's ordered to show cause in October 2014, and the contempt hearing starts up again against Mr. Osborne. And that appears to be for no reason at all. There was nothing in the court docs to show that he was that he needed to show up to show cause on why he was not paying, because there was no support order. So on January 14, 2015, okay, I have to go back. They can't find him. So they keep sending stuff out to an address. They can't find him. Why they're searching for him, I have no idea, besides that judgment for the $200 for the parenting classes. So on January 14th, he's back in court for post-judgment. For what? For initial contempt failure to pay 4/14/2014 to the present. There's no judgment order for Mr. Osborne to pay anything. Again, the child support case has been dismissed, and he only owes state-owed arrears and parenting class fees. Keep in mind that the agency has never entered a total amount for the fees he's supposed to owe, and he's only ordered to pay $5 a week for those arrears. So now he's getting hunted for $5 a week because there's nothing to say in these court docs that, oh, he's ordered to pay $200 a week or $400 a week for these birthing costs that we don't even know how much is total to. Well, how much is total to now? And from what I could find, they have never given him a bill. Okay, I already said that. So he shouldn't have been held in contempt. On 3/9/2015, the same judge, James Fitzgerald, does what he's been doing to this father because Mr. Osborne doesn't show up to court. Do you blame him? This is ridiculous. It's been 10 years now. He does have a $500. They finally offer him a cash bond of $500. But for what? A bond for what? They kept ordering him to participate in this Children's First program. So I looked up what this was, and it turns out they really don't seem to do anything. According to the Wisconsin DCF, it's a program designed to encourage and enable parents to contribute to the financial support of their children, and is currently offered in 16 Wisconsin counties in 21 and 22. Let me give you some water. I told y'all this was a lot of information, but are y'all seeing this? And this right here, hold on one second. I said, this right here is a tragedy because this isn't even about child support. This man did not have an active child support order. that I could find. So let me continue. I'll get to your comments. If y'all hold on to the end, I'll go back to your comments. I just want to say hi to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the likes. If you're seeing this later, please share. His name is Michael Osborne, and everybody needs to be talking about him because this stuff is happening all over the nation. They're locking these dads up, moms up for nonviolent crimes, for child support. In this case, this is a fake debt, like all of them in most cases. And with COVID, they're in jail. Okay, let me get to that. But they shouldn't be in jail in the first place. Let's say that. But because there's no accountability, these judges will keep getting away with this. And this is unacceptable. So again, this program, this children's first program, it really wasn't nothing. It really wasn't anything. It was more so, you know how they order you to a program from the court, and then if you don't show up, they can issue a warrant for your arrest or whatever like that. That's what that is. This wasn't like they was going to send you on job interviews and hope that you get a job or help you get a job. It wasn't anything like that. It was just to keep you tied up in the court. So in 2015 and 16, if 2015 and 2016 warrants are reissued, and he has bonds of $6,000 and $500, respectfully. The question here is, why is there such a huge discrepancy in purge amounts? Could it be that their agency wasn't even sure just how much Mr. Osborne owed, if anything, to the state at the time? 2/3/17, there's a review hearing, and Mr. Osborne failed to appear, and judge lifts the cancel order and reinstates warrant with a purge amount of $3,000. So now we have $6,000, $5,000, and $3,000. So again, how much does he owe? There's 3 more actions during this year until December when he served while in court. On 12/20/2017, Mr. Osborne served in court and waived the 5-day service requirement. State requests adjournment to monitor payments. Court orders the same stipulations as the past court hearings, contempt hearing scheduled for February 28th, 2018. So there's more contempt hearings, February, March, June of 2018, with the same stipulations. They keep doing the same thing as the years go by. Now we're on to January 2019. Warrant is canceled. Mr. Osborne serves time from September 4th, 2018 to January 1st, 2019. There's a proposed order, but no detail provided on June 28th, 2019. A notice of motion of hearing and an affidavit for contempt. Again, contempt. He's getting held for all these contempt charges. And for what? He's ordered to appear and show cause. Post-judgment order. That's September 9th, 2019. State enters a motion for contempt. Failure to pay from 1/1/2018 to present. Father says he does not have a car. So it's hard for him to find work. And he's homeless. This is on September 1st, 2019. This father is homeless. He cannot see his children because his mother's instructions against him. The court orders father to enroll again in the Children's First program. They send him back after all these contempt. They want him back in the Children's First program, and now he's being alienated from his children. That, according on paper, he's been fighting and doing everything that he can to be in the children's lives and work what he can. There's another contempt hearing scheduled for January 13th, 2020. At that hearing, the father has made 3 payments of $57.88 each through income withholding. That means he's working. He is not compliant with the Children's First program, probably because he's working. Started working through a temp agency. Does not have an explanation why he hasn't attended the program, and they scheduled him another contempt hearing, April 2020. So now we're into the beginning of COVID. So Between April 8th, 2020 and June 10th, 2020, they're trying to contact Mr. Osborne, and the mail's coming back unclaimed, undelivered. On June 22nd, 2020, they finally track him down and send a notice of contempt hearing scheduled for 12/14/2020. At the hearing, they hold a Zoom meeting for the hearing because everything is closed down. That's on March 22nd, 2020. I mean, they had shut everything down effective March 22, 2020. So everything was shut down, but they still expected him to pay child support. On 12/14/2020, the hearing was held and neither parent appeared. I know she was probably sick of it. Let me see. Okay, I'm gonna go to your comments. So on 12/14/2020, the hearing was held. The state attorney reported that the father had made 11 payments since September 2019. So again, he's trying. The court states the father received proper notice for the hearing being held that day. The court found Mr. Osborne in default. They said he was willfully and deliberately disobeying the court's orders. They sentenced him to jail for 120 days. All previous stipulations were included. There was no purge amount included. Also on 12/14/2020, the same day, the court received a return of unclaimed, undelivered mail service for Mr. Osborne. So how could they proceed on a default order, a default judgment, and claim that he received proper notice for the hearing if on the same day they had a notice that said that the notice was returned unclaimed and undelivered for a child support case that he didn't even have? I mean, I hope his family, if y'all know his family, please send this to them because this is a breakdown and I would sue them. 12/16/2020. Again, they ordered him to the Children's First program. For what? There's a total of 3 contempt hearings, 2 while we are dealing with the global pandemic. One hearing is even held online. So we're in COVID. We're knee deep in COVID at this point. Well, top of head deep. Like they shutting everything down. You gotta wear a mask. People are not like we're in a pandemic. Whether you believe it or believe in the pandemic or not, that's what's going on. It's a global pandemic. So we are all up in it. They wasted no time harassing Mr. Osborne again for the state owed debt in 2021 while we were still trying to live through COVID. He's facing contempt charges 3 times in 2021. January 5th, 2021, there's a contempt order to apprehend Mr. Osborne, and he was sentenced to 120 days in jail with all other stipulations included. So that's all the stuff that I was saying, all the other times that he was held in contempt. There was to be a review on March 12, 2021. On January 28th, they served him with a contempt order and a notice to go to the children's program. Y'all know, now y'all know the spiel. They just keep doing this, and this is this is over a decade. There's another review on 3/12/2021. Father doesn't appear, no payments, all that good stuff. They order him to jail for 180 days, purge amount of $2,500. Where was he going to get this $2,500 when he had struggled to pay anything all during this time? The mother had waived all of the child support, the interest. He only owed the state. We don't know how much he owed the state. They had closed this case. There's not even a real case, but he has a purge amount of $2,500. $2,500 from where? From what? What is he paying? Why are y'all holding him in contempt? And why haven't y'all sent him to prison? If he was in contempt and willfully failing to pay child support and was egregiously not paying child support, why haven't y'all sent him to prison yet? Why have y'all not prosecuted him correctly if this man was truly dodging child support? That way he could go and maybe get some skills or something to come out and work, and maybe y'all could prove, and maybe that he was actually committing a crime, and maybe y'all give him a lawyer and let a lawyer help defend him. Like maybe give him some of his due process rights instead of dragging this man and harassing this man and ultimately costing this man his life, as I will get to. Okay, review hearing. They had a review hearing on 4/23. He didn't appear. Mr. Osborne was arrested on 4/25/2021. An order was submitted on 9/28/2021 that he should be released, that he shall be released from custody on 10/1/21. So from April 25th, there was nothing until this entry that he was going to be released. It was on 9/28. He was going to be released on 10/1/21. On 9/30/2021, there was a notice from Judge David Wilk that Mr. Osborne is to be released from custody one day early at request of the jail due to a medical emergency. The notice was sent with a lieutenant working at the jail. They finally canceled the warrant on 10/1/21 for time served from 4/25 to 2021. And finally, on 10/20/2021, they entered an order under Elizabeth Pfeiffer, Pfeeffer. The order was a motion in order to terminate support repayment orders. Non-custodial died on 10/8/2021. That's the only way that he got out of this child support harassment, child support hustle, child support. I don't even know what to call this. And that's why I went through the whole timeline. He died. That's the only way that they put a motion to terminate, even though they put it where they actually stopped, where he had to die to get a motion to terminate, even though, according to these court docs, that man did not owe child support. Had it not been for these warrants over and over and over for years, for over a decade, he would not have been in jail in the first place. This was, so this is what I wrote after I wrote, did the last timeline. They should have said that non-custodial parent was hunted and stalked for over a decade for child support owed to the state. He was held in contempt more times than should have been permitted and was still pursued even when there was no open case for child support. The same court system that was supposed to operate in the best interest of his child and all children made his child fatherless. They might also include that this father, who by all appearances appeared in almost all court dates, attended parenting classes and filed for contempt of court when he was being denied access to his children, still tried to make payments when he was able to find work. Even with all the time he did serve behind bars for owing the state money, they never once decreased the debt with time served or offered a debt compromise, even though the state is supposed to have a program in place. They never tried to work with him, never tried to dismiss that debt, never tried to do anything except hold him in contempt. They're supposed to have a program in place. According to the Federal Office of Child Support Enforcement in Wisconsin, local child support agencies may forgive all or part of the state-owed debt arrears under a variety of circumstances, including when the obligor is unable to pay the arrears based on income, earning capacity, and assets. We clearly know, based on his history, that he wasn't like swimming in money. He wasn't wealthy. He was. I even read in the court docs that he was telling them that he was going to work for the Salvation Army as a bell ringer. So he clearly was living in poverty. So they could have worked with him. Or if the obligor had long-term disability, and I saw on the documents that he had filed for disability, which was denied. That bulletin was released in 2009. Instead of the employment program trying to help Mr. Osborne, they kept locking him up, and that makes the child support program executed and enforced by the officials in Kenosha and the state of Wisconsin, ultimately responsible for the death of Mr. Michael Osborne. If he had not been hunted so ferociously for state-owed debt for all of those years and actually helped him, he would not have spent the past 2 decades involved in the court system over a debt that he clearly could not afford to pay and that he didn't owe. Not for that warrant, he'd not been in jail. He might not have contracted COVID. And if he hadn't contracted COVID, he may be able to receive, if he had contracted COVID on the outside, he may have been able to receive the medical attention that he needed in a timely manner. And then his child or children would still have their father, and his family would still have their loved one. So that's what I had to say about Mr. Michael Osborne. The newspaper and all the news outlets that are reporting on this, of course, they're reporting about the corporal, the officer, the the CO that passed away from COVID, and my condolences are with his family as well. But when it comes to Mr. Osborne, they only said, that he was in jail for child support. They made sure they put that in there without anything else or any regard. And I thought that was not only distasteful, it was disrespectful. And we need to hold these people accountable. I've been saying it for a long time now, and I'll continue to say it. When these judges are allowed to behave the way that these judges behaved in Mr. Osborne's case, people die, parents die, and then they say that children are fatherless, and then it's because fathers abandon their children. This is only one example. Of course, they're not going to report this all over the place, and they're just not going to do that. We know that. This is an unpopular topic. And we know that this child support system generates it's a multi-billion-dollar a year industry for the government. But if this program is supposed to operate in the best interest of children, and one father dies like this, is harassed like this over the system that's supposed to help families and help children, we have a problem. And we've had a problem for a very long time now. So the question comes up again, what are we going to do about it? And again, we're asking for volunteers to send a letter out to the politicians. We have some reforms ideas that we think will be effective. We need to end the use of debtor prisons. We need to hold these judges accountable, especially when they send people to jail, holding them in contempt over and over and over and over. Like I just went over in Mr. Osborne's case. And only did he get out of this only by dying and only state-owed arrears. Also, you can sign a petition where we are petitioning the Biden administration to erase all state-owed government arrears so that parents can get a fresh start, just like Mr. Osborne. Had they let him know how much he owed, maybe he could have paid down the balance of what he owed to the state instead of them continuously locking him up and not getting him the proper medical attention he needed when he was locked up for this debt that, I couldn't find out how much he owed. I'm not sure they knew how much he owed. So that's what my video is for today. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for the likes. If you're here and you haven't liked, click it for me. If you want to get a copy of the letter, you can email me, cshustle1@gmail.com. In the subject line, please enter the word or type the word letter, and that's just so I can keep track of who's all getting a copy of the letter. Of course, you can include anything in your email that you think should be added to the letter, but the letter, you can't, edit it or anything like that. If you want to sign the petition, all that is in the description. And you can also, if you want to find out more about the child support hustle, I'm not at home, as you can see, so I don't have a copy of my book to hold up. But if you want a copy of the child support hustle, you can go to my website, thechildsupporthustle.com. It's all there, and we'll get it to you. Let me look at the chat real quick and see if there's any questions I need to answer. Yeah, it's messed up. I don't know if the people here are still here, but hey, B, what's up, Rod Gaming? Put your link up so people can check out your new music. B to the, is that the STH? Thank you, Kay, for the stories. Oh, you're welcome. I'm gonna keep bringing them. That's just, I mean, this made me sick. This is real sad. My condolences go out to the family. Yeah, they're wicked. What's that, 2 years, Hawk? I hope they gave you a due process before they locked you up. We got to ask somebody. People are in charge. They're supposed to be doing something, right? Thank you for signing. If you've already signed, please share. I'd appreciate it. And if that's it for this evening, again, thank y'all for tuning in. As y'all can see, my little voice is, I'm so parched. I'm so parched. Let me get some water. I'm gonna try to bring y'all some more videos. Oh, I want to give a extra special thank you to Houston Methodist, the doctors over there at Houston Methodist. My father has received a kidney. We want to thank the family that donated the kidney, the family that allowed my father to get a kidney from their loved one. Thank you, Houston Methodist. I wasn't able to donate, but hey, donate a kidney, save a life. Don't let that stop you all from becoming a live donor. So shout out Houston Methodist. Hey, there's some good doctors over there. Oh, and to Tennessee State University, where my nephew played. They got their 4th win last night. There's my bracelet. They got their 4th win last night. Coach Eddie George over there, number 85, Rockmon. That's my nephew. So if y'all watch the game, they're on ESPN Plus. Thank you. God bless you and your family too. Thank you, Hawk. Okay, y'all. Thank y'all, family. Thanks for tuning in. And please share this so that the people in Kenosha, Wisconsin can see it. Hopefully, Michael Osborne's family can see this video. I hope they sue them. I hope that at least his child's mother, the family, they had no reason to pursue this man like this and hunt him down and ultimately kill him. So y'all have a good night. Remember, y'all can ignore, they can ignore hundreds, they can ignore thousands, but they cannot ignore millions. Keep fighting. Let's go.